A few years ago, I was praying in my room, desperate to hear from God. I had a big decision to make and I needed direction. But as I prayed, all I could hear was nothing. No answer, no peace. Like just the sound of my phone buzzing and my thoughts racing. So I asked God, why won't you speak to me? And in that quiet moment, it hit me. God wasn't silent. I was just too distracted to hear him. We live in a world that is full of noise, notifications, opinions, media, pressure. It's like standing in a crowd with everyone shouting and you are trying to hear a whisper. But the voice of God is not absent, it's just gentle. And if we want to hear him, we have to learn how to listen. So in this video, let's talk about how we can hear God's voice in this noisy world. So the first way is you need to slow down and be still. God speaks, but he rarely shouts. Psalms 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not a lost art. We run from silence, but often that's exactly where God waits for us. I remembered one day when I turned off my phone and sat quietly with my Bible open. No music, no distraction, just me and God. And for the first time in weeks, I felt peace. I didn't hear an audible voice, but I knew He was speaking through the stillness. Sometimes God won't speak louder, you just need to turn everything else down. Secondly, God's voice sounds like His word. Many people chase a feeling or a sign but ignore the Bible sitting on their shelf. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16 says, "All scriptures is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness." God will never say something to you that contradicts what He has already said in His word. If you want to hear God's voice, you need to start reading what He has already written, which is the scriptures. Thirdly, God often whispers through peace. God's voice is not always dramatic. It is not always a vision or a dream. Sometimes it is a deep sense of peace when everything else sees panic. Colossians chapter 3 verse 15 says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your heart." So peace is often how God says to us, yes, this is the way, walk in it. And then fourthly, God speaks through people, but not all people. So God can speak through a sermon, through a friend, through a mentor, but you have to be careful. Not every voice around you is God's voice. Proverbs 11 verse 14 says, "Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in the abundance of counselors, there is safety." So you have to seek counsel, but at the same time, make sure it is a godly counsel. The fifth point, God's voice requires obedience. So here's the truth. Many people don't hear God not because He is silent, but because deep down they have already decided that they won't obey. John 10 verse 27 says, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me." The more you obey what God said yesterday, the clearer His voice becomes today. God doesn't speak to entertain you, He speaks to guide you. And when you respond with obedience, He speaks again. So hearing God's voice isn't about being super spiritual. It is about being available, attentive, and willing. He's not hiding, He's not silent, He's just waiting for you to listen. So today, turn off the noise, put down the phone, open your Bible, sit in the quiet, ask Him to speak. And I believe that He will, because God still speaks. The question is, are you still enough to hear Him?